All right, getting us started. Okay, so welcome everyone to our live session this evening. We had so much fun during OnTrendly Live. I decided that why don't we just continue it, right? And we are at today's is a beautiful day because it is the start of a brand new month. It is the start of a brand new quarter. The third quarter of the year is the start of the second half of the year. It's just like fantastic, okay? And so I figured it would be a great time for us to come and look at 5 critical mistakes that I see people make when they start, when they're working on their businesses. And this is something I've learned, being an entrepreneur for the last 14 years, coaching thousands of, doctors who are physician entrepreneurs. And so I just looked for the 5 most common. A lot of them are simple, but if you followed EntreMD for any amount of time, you know that we live on the simple, right? Like we don't try to make things complicated. So if it's simple, don't think it's not powerful. It's just simple so that you can implement it and you can make a lot of momentum. You can make a lot of steps. So let me know in the chat, how many of you, when you think about this month, July, or you think about the third quarter of the year, your plan is quantum leaps. Like you want to walk away from this quarter, you want to walk away from this month and look back and say, oh my goodness, I do not believe I did that, right? So let me know in the chat if that's you. Like, oh my goodness, I'm all for the quantum leap, all for the quantum leap. I want to make big jumps. Okay. Dr. Allison is like, yes, many exclamation marks. You're my kind of people. Okay. Dr. Beckford in the house. Yes, of course you're about the quantum leap, right? We're about the 10x life. Okay. All right. So quick introduction. If we haven't met, my name is Dr. Una. I am a pediatrician by training. I love physicians. I love physician entrepreneurship. And I have owned my own private practice for the last 14 years. And really that private practice, we launched it, grew it, and exited from it as a 7-figure practice in less than 10 years. So the things that we talk about are things that we have done and that we've gone on to help other people do. So we saw the changes that were coming in the healthcare space, realized doctors will have to retool themselves. I started retooling myself in the process of doing that. I'm like, oh my goodness, but it's not going to be bad for just me. It's going to be bad for the physician community as a whole. And so that's when we established EntreMD. And at EntreMD, what we do is we help doctors build profitable businesses so they have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. We recently had EntreMD Live. It was our 6th one. And one of the doctors, when she walked away, she was like, I am walking away knowing that I can have it all. I can have the dream business and I can have the dream life, right? And when she said that, I was like, okay, like mission accomplished, right? Like, because we know that it's a hard time in healthcare, but it is the beginning of great times for us as physicians. But we do need to retool ourselves, right? So the version of us that exists right now is not the version that's going to pull off what is required, right? But we're all for evolution. We've done it once, we can do it again. Okay. So that's a little bit about me. The program that we have that where, we help doctors do this is called the EntreMD Business School. And I say that because it is open for enrollment. A number of people have come in to the new cohort. We're so excited about that. And if you followed us for a while and you're like, I wonder if this is a thing for me, the team is actually here to support you. So you can just let us know in the chat. They'll put the link. Jessica, I'm excited for the new cohort. I am too. They'll put the link in there so you can book a call. We don't do any high pressure. It's just for you to come to a decision, like absolutely or absolutely not. Because in the EntreMD world, we don't do undecided because, it's a form of self-abuse, right? Okay. So let's get into some stuff for today, right? So 5 mistakes that keep businesses stuck, okay? Because we already said we are the people who want to have quantum leaps, okay? All right. So the first one, again, it's going to be so simple. The very first one is not having a goal. Not having a goal. Now, you might say, oh my goodness, Dr. Una, don't be Captain Obvious, okay? But this is the point. This is the point. I have coached thousands of physicians. There are people who come, so many people, including people who are running established businesses who come in and they're like, the last time I set goals has to be 10 years ago. Like, other than when I was in medical school and residency and all that, trying to get in and get out, I haven't set any goals, right? So you would think that it's a simple thing, but many people do not set goals. And it's kind of like getting in the car, wanting to go somewhere, not putting it in the GPS and driving around aimlessly. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of businesses are like that, right? Now you may say, oh, Dr. Una, I have goals. Okay. But if it's not in writing, it's not really a goal. If it's not, it doesn't have a deadline. It can't be measured. Like I want to do better. I want to have a quantum leap this month or this quarter. That's not a goal. That's a wish, right? And do wishes come true? Sometimes, right? Like sometimes, right? But it's not something that will direct you. It's not something that will make you make data-driven decisions. It's not something that will help you determine what is the best use of my time so I can get this goal and live my dream life at the same time. Like it is so incapacitating not to have a goal, right? And so simple as it may be, it is something that many, I dare say most entrepreneurs don't do. Don't do. So the biggest mistake you can make in July and beyond that will that will stop you from having a year that will blow your mind. The first mistake is not having a goal. Okay. Now, I've talked about people who, just don't set them. Some other people have wishes, right? Some people are too scared to own a goal because then they think I'm going to be depressed if I don't accomplish it. Okay. Let me know in the comments if you know somebody like that. It's not you. Of course, it's not you, right? But how many of you know somebody, right? Like if I own that this is the year, this is the month that I have my first $100,000 month, or I have my first $100,000 quarter, or whatever that number is for you, it's like, then I have to do it. Then I have to do the work. Then I have to change. Then, the uncomfortable things I haven't wanted to do, now I have to do them. So I'm not going to own the goal. Okay, so there's so many ways this shows up, but we have to embrace this process of owning that we're gonna go somewhere, because everything else falls in place after that, not before. Okay, so we're making decisions here. Jessica's like, I've done that before. Dr. Beckford's like, I have a friend who's done that before, right? Right? Okay, so let's own this in the chat, right? So to start with, how many of you will say, okay, got it. I'm gonna make sure that I have a goal and it's a SMART goal. Okay, we're not gonna get bent out of shape if we don't hit it at 100%. But we need to own something. So let me know in the chat if you're gonna own it. I'm gonna own it. Okay. Now, this is one of the reasons why today in the EntreMD Business School, we're celebrating what we call the EntreMD, the EBS New Year, right? So this morning we're like, happy EBS New Year. Why do we do that? Every quarter, we do 90-day years, okay? So every quarter, the beginning of every quarter is a brand new year. Well, guess what's going to be happening on the 8th of July? We're going to have a 2-hour deep dive goal setting workshop. I promise you, like Dr. Beckford is here, she's done this every quarter. And you would think if you've done it every quarter for over a year, like we don't need to do this anymore, but we do. Why? Because every 90 days we want to be different. Every 90 days we want our businesses to be different. Every 90, what happens the first year we did it, people are like, wait a minute, I did more this quarter than I did all year. Why? Because there's no goal set. There's no, like, the car did not have direction. Okay. Once the car has direction, everything changes. Okay. So come July 8th, we're going to have a whole workshop for the whole school. We're going to sit, we're going to work our goals for Q3. Why? Because we want to have direction, and distractions become obvious because you're like, this is not taking me where I'm trying to go. This is called a distraction. You cannot recognize distractions if you don't have a goal. Like everything looks good. Like shiny objects become, like they literally raise their hands and say, I'm a shiny object. Please do not be distracted by me. Just ignore me. I am not going to take you anywhere you're trying to go. That's what happens when you have goals. Okay. So this is one of the reasons why you see that the doctors in the EntreMD Business School get the results they get. Why do they get it? Because we are so bent on making sure that every point in time you have created a direction that you're going in. Okay. All right. So if you got that, let me know in the chat. I got it. Let me know. It's very simple, but it's very powerful, and it will change your life. Let me know. All right, give me some energy in the chat. Let's see. Dr. Allison got it. Dr. Adrian got it. Dr. Beckford, I got it. Who else? Because I want you to come, like September 27th is the date we chose on EntreMD Live, right? I want you to go like, Dr. Una, you will not believe what happened. Okay. So that's the first mistake. Okay. And again, if you're here and you're like, man, like I want to do that, I'm ready to do that, but I know I'm going to need support. Again, the team is here. They're going to post the link. Just book a call, talk with the team. We'll show you how we can do that. Okay. All right. Second mistake. Now, I have made all of these mistakes. Okay. And these are the most common mistakes. So if you've made them, no problem. The second mistake is no path. So that first of all, there's no goal, but some people have a goal and they set the goal and they're like, oh my goodness, it's going to be amazing. My best month yet, my best quarter yet, everything is about to change. And yes, and then they go about their lives, same old, same old. And so what do they have? They have goals. And at the end of a month, a lot of frustration. Why? There's no path. When you put your address in the GPS and the GPS does not tell you this is how you get there, you don't start driving. You're like, what's wrong with the GPS? Like, we have the direction, we have the destination, but we don't have direction, right? So it's the same thing with our goals. When we set the goals, it's literally like an address. It's wonderful. You must have it. But right after that, you need a path. Like, how am I going to get there? So let's take an example, right? Let's say you're like, this is going to be my first month that I'm going to have $100,000 month. This is going to be absolutely amazing. All that. Wonderful. Once you're done celebrating, once you're done getting your dopamine hit, now the question is, how are we going to get there? And you may look and you say, okay, the reason why we haven't hit this yet is because maybe my team is not functioning at capacity, because with the path, you have to find out what X is. Like, what are the most important levers that will get me where I'm trying to grow, where I'm trying to go? This requires some critical thinking, right? So you might say, my team is not functioning at capacity, so I'm the only one pulling my weight. If my team could pull their weight with revenue generating activities, we'll blow that thing out the park. Then you understand that your path is activating your team. It may be that the team is fine, but you have so many clients that you've served, and you don't have a system of saying, hey, we've worked with you once, we want to work with you again. So you are leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table because there's so many people who want to work with you. And so you may say, the big project for this quarter is we're going to create a renewal system, right? So people who work with us understand how they can continue to work with us. On the other hand, you might say, my email list hasn't grown in the last 10 months. The people who know me haven't, like, the people who know me are the people who've known me for the last 5 years. And my goodness, the visibility is the problem, right? I have to go out there and put myself in front of new people. You got to define what is the thing that is going to get me to where I'm going. Let me know I know I'm throwing a lot, but I know you can handle it. So let me know if you're tracking. Let me know if you're tracking in the chat. Okay? Okay. Right? So I have the goal. It is very important to set one, but we can't stop there. Setting a goal does not deliver the goal. You put in the address. You define, how do you go? Turn right here, turn left here, drive for 3 miles, then turn like you got to get that. So after you set the goal, what's the next thing? You sit and you map out the strategy. How are we going to get there? Okay. You might say, what if it's not the exact strategy? Well, one is you want help with strategy, but two is some of it you're going to try something, evaluate it, see what the response was, come back, reassess. But you gotta set the strategy. Okay, you gotta set the strategy. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see. We set the goal, we celebrate the goal, we go same old, and we're confused at why we have the same results. Only that this time we're more frustrated because we know where exactly we want to be, but we're not, there's no way to get there. Okay. Okay. So let me know in the chat, how many of you are like, oh my goodness, yes, I am going to set the strategy. Oh yeah, I've celebrated my goals, but I'm going to set the strategy. Okay. Now, again, this is something that we work on, and we work on a lot. Why? We know you're not going to accomplish your goals without it, right? So for instance, when it comes to revenue, I see Dr. Beckford is here. I saw Dr. Anita here as well. They will tell you, like, our monthly challenges are designed to make sure that you're making revenue generating activities every single day. We have a whole framework we call the revenue generation framework. Like, this is the strategy that you need if you want to create this amount of revenue. This is how it's done, right? Okay, so you got it. You can fix it. You create the strategy. Again, if you're like, man, like, having support with that will absolutely blow my business out of the park, then book a call with the team. Okay, they'll post the link. They'll help you work through that. All right. Who is this helping so far? Or are you like, Dr. Una, I don't know. I don't think I'll stay for the other three because I don't know. I don't know. Who's it helping so far? Who's it helping so far? Nobody. Oh man, I don't have to do this too long then. Oh, Dr. Alice says, wait, yes, me. Okay. Okay. All right. Number three. So number one, no goal. Number two, no strategy. Number three, no evolution. Okay. No evolution. This is so important. No evolution. The you are has created all the results that you can create. Okay. The you are has created all the results. I have become so good at this that when I say, oh, you know what, this is where we are revenue wise, and this is where I want us to be, the next question I ask myself is, who do I need to become to pull that off? This cannot be ignored because there are no results without it. So for instance, I would hear an entrepreneur say, I have these big goals, but I don't like marketing and I don't do marketing. That is somebody who has not realized that you cannot get to the next level without changing. It is not possible. You must change. You must up level. You must become a different version of yourself. The end. If you're unwilling to do it, you are unwilling to have the results. Period. Period. How did we get to where we are? A lot of evolution over the course of at least a decade. A lot. A lot. Marketing is a cuss word. Yeah, marketing. But if you want to hit your goals, you're going to have to reframe that. You're going to have to make it a holy word. It is not a cuss word. Okay. So think about it. Maybe, how about we have a vulnerable moment here, right? What is an evolution you've been resisting? You, the marketer, you, the person who sells, you, the person who hires high capacity people, you who leads high capacity people, you who's comfortable with profit and loss statements. Like, what evolution have you been avoiding? Type it in the chat. Let's get some real life breakthroughs in real time, right? Facebook Lives, right? You can upgrade your identity and you can become the person who loves doing that. Like, so thank you for sharing that. I want you to hear me. I'll give you an example. I can look at what I do, podcasting, maybe being here, doing EntreMD Live and all of those as chores. Let me tell you my evolution. I embrace the mission that I'm going to help 100,000 doctors figure out how to build profitable businesses so they have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. When I show up and I'm posting on social media, I see that as one of my megaphones to talk to my 100,000 people. When I show up and I'm doing podcasts, I don't see it as podcast. Oh my goodness, content creation or social media. I don't see it as any of that. I see it as I'm talking to my people. I'm serving them. I'm helping them get results. So it's not about me. I could not be bothered, but like, like, oh, how I look. Oh, I have acne. Oh, my hair is not perfect. Oh, I don't care about any of that because I'm so in tune with my people, getting them results, answering their questions. Okay, I'm here helping you avoid 5 mistakes so this can be your best month, can be your best quarter in business. That's why I'm here. So maybe you evolve to become that thought leader and you understand that I'm here to change the narrative for whoever I'm called to. That evolution puts you in a place where you start enjoying doing Facebook Lives, right? Now, so same with social media, delegation and warm market and warm marketing, right? So when it comes to delegation, upgrading that identity, I'm the kind of person who delegates. I'm the kind of person who understands that one is too small a number for greatness. I am worthy of a great team because I have a worthy mission. I have a worthy cause, right? Making the first step. And you know what? One of the reasons I'm so big, like accountability is not a fun word. Like imagine someone telling you, come work with me. I'm big on accountability. Like people don't really talk like that, right? But accountability is so magical because it will help you, like things you would ordinarily procrastinate on for 2 years in the right container, you can get that thing done in weeks. Let me show you something. So I have a client And she'd been planning to do all these things and never got round to doing them. And we had one meeting. I'm looking down because I'm pulling up her stuff. We had one meeting. And after the meeting, 2 weeks after, I was like, so what have you done? In 2 weeks, she had hired a new team member. She had created a freebie so she could grow her email list. I'm literally reading it off the document I wrote it on. She had launched a new newsletter and sent her first email. She had doubled her email list. She wanted to do a podcast. She had recorded the intro, the outro, a trailer, and 2 episodes. She had pitched to be a guest on another podcast. And I had her do I noticed that, like sometimes she would be down on herself and I'm like, you're a total genius and you don't even do it. I had her do an inventory of her genius. And she came up with how many ever things. And she said, I cannot believe that I did all these things in just 2 weeks. I am so glad I invested in coaching. That is the power. Like, I'm not making up. This is, that is the power of accountability, right? In your evolution. If you were there for EntreMD Live, you heard Dr. Sarah tell her story. Like, I wasn't on social media. I didn't know how to respond to a post. I had to go Google how to respond to a Facebook post. But now she is this person who has done a video every day since February. We're in July. Every day since February. And then she had an opportunity to speak on stage and she absolutely crushed it. Like, I was so proud. Why? Because in a container of accountability, you can evolve so fast you won't even believe it. So when you find, like Dr. Beckford is here, Dr. Beckford will tell you, like when we started talking about videos and stuff like that, she was like, no. The first time she had to speak somewhere, she came and posted in the group, oh my goodness, I'm going to speak, send me positive vibes, right? And here she is, she just interviewed her 250th doctor on her own show. Like, so much so we call her EBS Oprah. Like, so the fact that you're like, I've tried to do these things, I haven't been able to pull it off. I keep telling people, like, in the right container, you will pull it off. In the right container, you will. The first time I had to speak on stage, somebody put me on stage and put an usher beside me and said, don't let her move. So when people tell me I'm a natural speaker, I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea. There's nothing natural about this, right? Okay. So if someone can put you in, if you can be in a container to where you put in the reps, even though it's uncomfortable, I promise you can be comfortable doing uncomfortable things, right? Okay, Dr. Susan, you started this, so you triggered all of that. But I love it because we can change. It's amazing how much we can change. Dr. Anita, auditing my behavior to see if I did what I intended to, right? And again, at the end of every quarter, they know we come and we're like, okay, what are your wins? What are your lessons, right? Because we don't have failures. What were your lessons? The ability to stop and actually audit yourself, like it can make your heart race and all of those things. But imagine you're doing it with a bunch of friends, right? Like, and this is what we do every quarter. Imagine evaluating yourself 4 times a year instead of once a year in December, right before it's time to cross over into the new year. It is so magical what happens. Okay. Dr. Williams, calling people in my contact list to let them know. Yeah, see, that can be nerve-wracking, but the truth of the matter is the ROI on it, like this is one of the things you are made to do in the alternative business school. Like we would have whole challenges where the whole point is talk to somebody every day. Talk to somebody every day, invite them to come work with you. The first time you do it, you're like, oh my goodness, get me out of here. And if you try to escape, Jessica will be calling like, I see you're not engaging in the challenge. Is there anything we can do to support you? Like, right? But the thing is, after you do it long enough and after you see the transformation in the lives of people, you won't stop. You won't stop. Okay, let me know in the chat. Who is this helping? Who is this helping? Because these are real things. This is the difference between getting a certain result over 4 years or getting that result over 6 months, because it all depends on how many things you're going to put in the time. It's not the time, right? Okay, let me know in the chat. Is this helping? Is this helping? Or do I just stop? Like, Dr. Una, oh my goodness, it's Monday. We had 6 hours of you on Saturday. We're done with you, Dr. Una. We're done with you, right? Okay. So as you listen to this, you'll see that like the Entrepreneur Business School is actually built around helping you walk away, like helping you stop these things from stopping you, right? Nobody, like, these are things we have to do. So Dr. Susan said nobody really talks about this with respect to strategic planning. Yes, it is super helpful to think about the evolution piece. Yes. And especially for us physicians, because in the process of becoming doctors, we picked up work ethic, delayed gratification, the ability to learn, and all these things, which are assets, right? As an entrepreneur, these are assets. But we also picked up, you know, do good work and the money will follow, which like is one of the most destructive thoughts you can have as an entrepreneur, right? And things like, so we also picked up a lot of things. So we cannot just start businesses and think that that makes us entrepreneurs. It doesn't. I have met people who are even running seven-figure businesses and they're not entrepreneurs. So they have the seven-figure business, but their overhead is like 950,000 and they've never paid themselves and they're burnt out and all of those things. They have a really high paying job, but they're not entrepreneurs. We must evolve. And the evolution never exists. It never ends. Like you don't get to a point you're like, oof, I finally arrived. But the thing is this though, once you start this journey of evolution, it is addicting. It is addicting because you go like, wait a whole minute. If I could become that, who else could I be? Right? Like, so I literally live my life like Dora the Explorer. Like, I wonder what we're gonna squeeze out of me this time, right? Like it becomes addictive. So it's fun, right? But we need to start learning how to make evolution part of what we do. And we're not so stuck on this is the way I've always done it, this is who I've always been, this is the way I am. We don't do that anymore. We're like, I wonder who I can be. So it's a lot of fun. So, all right, number four. Number four is being ignorant of obstacles. Okay. When you think about, when you think about maybe the first half of the year, there are persistent obstacles that showed up all 6 months. If you stop and identify them, you can address them, you can overcome them, and you can have different results. If you don't, then the same obstacle keeps tripping you up. Now, your chances are you will always have obstacles as an entrepreneur, but you want to have different obstacles, not the same obstacle, right? So, for instance, you are burnt out because you are literally, you're the one managing all your email, all the emails to clients, all of your calendar, like you're doing all the graphics, you're doing all the things. That's an obstacle in your way, right? Don't know how to manage the time. If you're like, okay, I'm having a time management thing here going on. If I can bring on this one person, this will get out of my way. So I have the freedom to function at my highest capacity as a CEO of this company. But if you don't stop, you don't get it out of the way. You just don't, right? And so stopping to see what is the obstacle, stopping to see, okay, the thing that would change my business the most is charging appropriately for my services. So I'm undercharging. The obstacle there is the mind drama around money. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm already a physician. I have a great salary. I earn more than my patients. How much is enough? Now I'm a greedy doctor. What will people think about me because they charge less than I charge? Da 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 da. And if you don't see that as an obstacle and you don't address it, guess what happens? It's an obstacle all year long. And you might say, that's not too bad. So let's do some math. Okay. Pulling my calculator here. Let's say you are, let's use, I'm making this up. Let's use a DPC clinic, right? And let's say you are charging $67 per patient. And you really, in your heart of hearts, want to charge 130. So let's make the math easy. You're charging 60, you want to charge 130. But mind drama stopped you. If you have a panel of 300 patients and you were charging them $60, That would be $18,000 a month or $216,000 a year. If you overcame one obstacle, the mind drama around raising your prices, and you raised it, that's $432,000 a year. You will be rewarded with an extra $216,000 just for addressing one obstacle. If you're tracking, let me know you're tracking. Do you see the power? So it's not just, oh, it's an obstacle. If I get out of the way, I'll be more comfortable. It's not about that. Like, business is an economic sport. It's dollars. It's like actual dollars. If you had another $216, what could you do? Maybe you could work less. Maybe you could have a smaller panel and still make more money. Maybe you could bring on a team member and buy some of your time back. Like, you could do a gazillion things. One obstacle. Like, oh, I have a team of 8, and I'm so afraid of meeting with my team. I'm afraid of telling people, telling my people how to support the vision. But the truth of the matter is, if your people are functioning at 10% and you get them to 50 because now you meet with them and they're now all profit centers, like everybody's pulling their weight. 1 is you get your time back. 2 is you get the pressure off. 3 is that they might go like, oh my goodness, I could do this. You have a brand new team. It will exponentially increase your bottom line, the quality of your life, the ability to impact people, everything. One obstacle. So I want you to do something real quick here. And Dr. Adrian, I'm going to answer your question in a second. I want you to do something real quick. I want you to think about one obstacle. You don't have to tell us the obstacle, except you want to, but I want you to think about one obstacle and you go like, I'm going to work on this. Shoot. I'm going to work on this. Then just type 1 in the chat. Let me know. I found it. It doesn't have to be 72, but there's one that keeps tripping you up. It keeps tripping you up. It's like, are you just like, you have to stop. You have to address it. You have to face it head on and go like, no, let's fix this, because in some fairyland, ignorance is bliss. In entrepreneurship, ignorance costs you money. A whole lot of money with a whole lot of zeros. We just found 216,000 for somebody. That's multiple 6 figures. Ignorance is not bliss. Not in entrepreneurship, it's not. Nope. Nope. It's expensive. It's expensive. Okay. All right. So Dr. Adrian said, how do you know they won't leave? I'm presuming you mean if you raise your prices, if people will leave. Some will leave. Enough will stay. And that's all you need. That's all you need. And so that's the thing. Like, it's worth it working on that, because the person who will not pay you $130 came in driving a Mercedes, didn't they? They just told you about their vacation to Iceland with the whole family, didn't they? Like, the money's not the problem. Like, the money is rarely ever the problem. It's rarely ever the problem. Right? So it's worth working through that. It's worth working through that. Jessica says, what is the actual problem? The problem, well, so first of all, many times the problem is our problem. It's our projection. Like, oh, they'll think it's expensive. They're not thinking that. We're thinking that. They're not thinking that. We're thinking that. We made that up a lot of times. Okay, let me know in the chat here if you ever raised your prices or you're scared of telling somebody something like, this is how much it is, and the person didn't even flinch. Like, they didn't even move when you told them. They didn't even acknowledge that. They didn't at all. A lot of times we projected on them, right? So Dr. Nishi said, when I raised my rates, I started getting more patients who wanted to work with me. Same with me. Like, it's not the money, it's the mind draw. Like, that's the point, that this is an obstacle in our own brains, right? And sometimes it's not the right person. So for instance, if you are a cash pay practice, right? People aren't coming to you because you're the cheapest. A lot of times the money is not the thing. They're coming because they want a more personal relationship with a doctor. They want access and all of that. It's not money. They're not looking for the cheapest thing. That's not your person. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for access. You already have what they want, and they will pay for that. Okay. All right. So let's do one more. Again, so when you look at this, you will see why we talk about the business school a lot. It is a container for your evolution. It is a container to deal with obstacles because they're expensive. Obstacles they're expensive. If your obstacle is I cannot bring myself to talk to referral sources, that is a very expensive obstacle. If your obstacle is I will not look at my profit and loss statement, like if you cannot make data-driven decisions in your business, it is so expensive. So expensive, right? And we do the hard, almost dirty work of like, let's fix these things. They're not things you can see, but they cost dollars that you can see. They're the reason why a lot of us don't have our time. We don't have our freedom. Why? Because we have obstacles we haven't dealt with. Okay? All right. Number 5, who can handle one more? Let me know. You can handle one more. You can take one more. You're like, Dr. Una, bring it on. I'm not scared of you. Bring it on. Okay. Now, this one is one of my favorites. I will tell you that I live my life in momentum, right? Like if you think about it. So we've grown really fast over the last 5 years. We've done 3 books over the last 5 years. We have another one coming out maybe next month. We do event after event after event. We do like, I'm in momentum. I will tell you though, that it's not because I have momentum, is because I've built a system that allows me to be in momentum. So the 5th mistake is that there's no support for momentum. Okay, so let me know in the chat if you have set goals and you have come up with a plan and you're like, oh my goodness, it is on, and then you couldn't pull it off. Let me know in the chat. Like, you had it on, the world's best plan. You couldn't pull it off. You couldn't execute on it. You started executing on it, then life just lifed once, and that was the end. That was the end, like done. Like, right? This is the reason why you need support for your momentum. Because all of us here are old enough to know that life will always life. There will always be a reason why you can't do what you set out to do. There will always be. You need support for your momentum. You need it. So for instance, for me, I have a morning routine that supports my momentum. So when you see me taking walks and all those things, it's not for exercise. It's for Dr. Una's mental health. Okay, that is my time to go take a walk, to go meditate, to go pray, to go visualize, to go do all the things, because if I take care of me, I can stay in momentum. If you don't take care of, and when I say you, it's not just the massage, right? That's not the only. Jessica says we always get new fun projects when Dr. Una walks, and that's the truth. Like I'm like, oh, I'm like, call me at 8:30. I'm ready. But I gotta take care of me, like me the person. I have to be okay, right? I have to be okay. I have support systems of people around me. I intentionally put myself around people who are doing things so crazy that I'm like, you did what? Like when you're going like, okay, I'm gonna do something big. And Dr. Beckford, you know who this is when I tell you the story. I'm gonna do something big in 2024 and all of that. And they're like, you know what, I just decided I'm going to go into government contracting and all that stuff. And then 4 weeks later, they tell you, I just closed my first $100 million contract. I'm like, who is that? Right? And you're like, if they're doing all of this stuff and they have to hire all these people and do it, the least I can do is what I plan to do. Let me know if you're tracking, right? Like I surround myself with people so crazy that I'm just like, I mean, you guys heard me tell the story of, when I was like, I don't know, maybe we'll do 1 million this year. How do people do that? And then I'm in a room where a woman will, now this woman is at least 10 years younger than me. She had a 4-month-old, right? So I couldn't use that excuse. She had a 4-month-old. And she's like, someone came to acquire a company. They said they're going to give us 9 figures. Now, 9 figures, right? So we're talking at least 100 million. Like, and so we were like, I don't know. I didn't want to do that. I declined the offer because I was like, I figure we'll be there in a number of years ourselves because we're doing an easy million a month. I'm like, everybody just hold up here, okay? So here I am thinking a million a year is impossible. And someone is doing a million a month and they put easy in front of the million. And so I told myself, I said, self, the least you can do, I mean, if you could do an easy million a month, the least you can do, and it's not about competition. It's about putting yourself in an environment where the greater version of you is called out. So in the Entrepreneur Business School, this is all day, every day, right? Like somebody comes up at like this, the people in the business school inspire me. They're like, you know what? I've been following up with this referral source and I just closed on them. I got 42 new clinicians who are referring patients to me. What happens to a business that has 42 new referral sources? Someone else is like, oh yeah, we in the first quarter of the year, we grew by 42%, like compared to last year, and I'm working 22% less. And you have to tell you, like, you're like, self, get it together. And again, not competition. Because again, this is what we teach. We're like, you can choose intimidation or inspiration. It's your choice. It's the same thing. You get to choose how you respond to it, right? And so we choose inspiration. Where you're like, oh my goodness, my team is driving me nuts. I don't have any time. And then somebody else who is running a $4 million business is like, now we take a vacation once a quarter. You're like, just hang on. Like, what is going on here? Systems for momentum. I put myself in containers where just watch, and you're like, oh, the reason why I can't do anything is because I have one child. And you see somebody in the same school with you that's had 2 babies since she's been in school and still doing what she's doing. You're like, you know what? That's really just an excuse, right? Where other people's lives are calling you out, right? So there's systems of momentum. This is the reason we do monthly challenges every month, right? Is because it's a challenge, like, but it's a system of momentum. It's like, even if you end up only doing 30-40%, you'd have made more progress than if you didn't. The idea is momentum. So I built this for my life. I built it for the school. And I'm like, if you just follow the yellow brick road, you'll stay in momentum. Okay. So how many of you are making a commitment to yourself? You're like, I need to figure this momentum thing out. Because this is the deal. This is the deal. This will make sense to you. If it will take you asking people to work with you 200 times to create 2 million in revenue, 2 million in revenue, you can ask 200 times in one. Like, you get to choose. You get to choose. You can ask 200 times in 1 year, or you can ask 200 times in 20 years. If you're in momentum, you can do it in a year. If you're not in momentum, you can do it in 20 years. Whenever you get it done, you get the result. So how many of you are like, I probably need to do this faster? Right? Type faster in the chat. I need to do this faster. So when you get out of momentum, how long are you out of momentum for? 5 weeks? 1 quarter? A whole year? No. You got to do this stuff faster. This is one life. This is not the rehearsal. We don't get a do-over. We do it like we mean it. Right? Okay. So what are the 5 mistakes? No goal, no plan, or no strategy, no plan for evolution, ignorant of obstacles, and then finally, no system for momentum. So I have a question for you. If you walked into Q3, which we just started today, so beautiful day to be doing this, right? If you walked into Q3 and you set a goal, you developed a strategy, you had the plan for the evolution, you identified obstacles and put plans in place to get them out of the way, and you created systems of momentum. I want you to think about it for a second, and then let me know in the chat. What will your business look like? What would your business look like at the end of Q3 if you did these 5 things? It doesn't matter what stage your business is in. What would it look like if you did these 5 things? You had a goal, you had the strategy, you had the plan for the evolution, you got rid of obstacles, and you created a system for momentum. Dr. Nita's like, different from what it is today, right? Dr. Ashley says sustainable. Who else? What will happen to your business? My favorite word is explosion, but I'll let you guys pick your word, right? What will happen? What will happen? And you can see that this is not a gimmick, right? Like I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years. This is not a this is it. Like people are like, how do you do the things you do? This is it. You know, like, oh, the doctors in the business school, they're unicorns. How do they do that? This is it. They're here. They'll tell you this is it. This is it. If you can do this, it doesn't matter. You can say, well, I'm shy. I don't like talking to people. I don't embrace marketing. I don't know how to build a team. When I think about a profit and loss statement, I break out in hives. It doesn't matter. You can have all of that. But if you engage these 5 things, things will be different. Things will be different. Okay? So this is the deal. All right? The Dr. Bedford said the business school is filled with introverts. Like, filled, yeah, introverts rising. And we rock it on stage, then we go take a walk. Like, oof, I'm all peopled out. Because we understand. We go take a walk. So this is the deal. Okay. The OnTrending Business School is not a program for you to come and learn stuff. It's not. It's not a program for you to come and get a certificate. It's not. It's not a program for you to come and check boxes. It's not. That's not what it is. It is a container that allows you crush your business goals. It is a container, like literally on July 8th, we're going to get together. We're going to create goals. Everybody's going to do that. We're going to create strategy. Everyone's going to do that. We're going to identify obstacles and create a plan for them. Everybody's going to do that. We're going to decide on the evolution required. The rest of the month, we're implementing. We're working people through how to get rid of those obstacles. We created systems of accountability that will make you evolve. You have a system for momentum. You're in a container where the challenges of entrepreneurship are normalized. Because there's so many challenges people face and they think it's because they're bad entrepreneurs. They don't know what they're doing. Like everybody's like, been there, done that. We got 10 t-shirts and the people are so open to say, this is a challenge I had. What do I do? People are like, yeah, that was me 2 weeks ago. This is what you do. It is a container for you to thrive. That's what it is. It's a container for you to win. We have never given certificates out because that's not the point, right? The point is, let me evolve. Let me become the kind of person who produces these results. Let me acquire the strategy so I don't have to run around with endless trial and error, right? Let me overcome these obstacles. Let me get rid of the money drama. Let me go lead my team. Let me hire my next high capacity person and let me have momentum. I'm telling you, people have had parents die. People have had parents have serious stuff. People have had babies. People have had all kinds of things happen. And they kept going. Why? Because they had people to hold them and tell them, it's okay. We're here for you. Pace of grace. If you need a minute, take it, but we're here for you. You will get through this. Why? Because life will always life. Life will always life. So if you've been thinking about it at all, I want to challenge you that the opportunity cost, like you may say, I don't have the time. If you don't have the time, of course, we help you figure out the time. You evolve to become the person who has the time, who takes vacations once a quarter. Who's mad about that? Right? Like, you might say, okay, the investment, but the investment is not the problem. we just did the math and found 216,000 for somebody. Like they could pay for the business school for themselves and like 6 other people with 216,000. That's not the thing. The thing is, I'm trying to go somewhere. I need the support to get there. When I built my first business, I didn't have EBS. Okay. So the people in the school now are actually getting results much faster than I did because they have EBS. Right? So this is a container designed specifically for physicians to help them win. If you are chasing down business goals and you've done it from January to June and you haven't created what you're looking for, it does mean that something needs to change. And there's a beautiful change right in front of you that you can make. Okay. So if that's you, I want to challenge you. Talk to the team. Okay. Jessica is going to post the link. Just schedule a call. We don't do any like, look at me. Look at Jessica. You've met Makita. Look at Dr. Beckford. Nobody's going to say you're a failure if you don't do this. I've actually seen people do that. We're not going to do any of that. But we talked about self-abuse during EntreMD Live, right? We're just going to help you come to your own conclusion, right? Absolutely, I'm going to do this, or absolutely not. Like it's a strategic decision. I don't need to do this, right? But at least land somewhere. Don't be undecided. Like land somewhere, make a quality decision. But if you're someone committed to building 6, 7, multiple 7-figure business, if you're someone committed to living life on your terms, you're somebody committed to creating financial freedom, and you're a physician hearing me, you deserve financial freedom. Like I know we have this narrative of we just help people and whatever. You deserve it. You love people enough that you took multiple 6 figures in a school loan so you can be qualified to help people, right? You deserve it. So book a call. The call is not it's not a binding legal thing. Like book a call. Okay. Dr. Susan says, what if it is just not yet because of transitional things going on? So Dr. Susan, I would say for you, I would still book the call to have the conversation. The reason I say that is it depends on what the transitional theme is, because there will always be something. You see what I mean? Like I'm 45. I don't know that I've ever had a time where there wasn't anything. Like this is the perfect time. Like it doesn't work that way. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so there will always be something. So if we wait for the right time, it may never come. We're the ones who choose. Like, for instance, I choose that today is the right time for me. This was not a right time to come do a training. If you notice, I'm not in my office. I decided this is the right time. Then I make it work, right? The EntreMD Live, it was not the right time to host EntreMD Live. For me, it wasn't. But I decided that I'm going to serve the physician community. We are going to do it in such a way that the ripple effect of this will last for years and years and years. Like there's going to be a whole movement come out of this. I decided that was the right time. You see what I'm saying? So I would still have the call because there is no right time. We make that we don't have a guarantee of tomorrow. Yesterday is gone. All we have is today. So for me, this is my right time. And that's it. You know what I mean? So I would still have the conversation. Yeah, and that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Okay. All right. So I'll leave you guys with this, right? There are so many people, like we're celebrating today Dr. Rita. She's a colorectal surgeon in Houston, Texas. And when we first met, I didn't even know who she was because she had a different name on Facebook. She wouldn't even put her name on Facebook. And she's like, I don't know if I can do this. They told me if I want to start a practice, it would take 3 years to break even and all of those things. And when she told me, I said, no, that's not how we roll. Okay. We have different strategy. We don't roll like that. And then she came into the group and she posted in the EntreMD Business School Facebook group, and people were like, no, this is EBS. We don't do that here. But she's celebrating a year in her private practice. She's grown quarter after quarter after quarter. We're so, so proud of her. And it's only a year. And she's like, I cannot believe it has only been a year. I'm like, and we're here to celebrate everything that happens the second year. We have that with people who are in private practice who are starting. We have it with people who have established practices. They have different problems because they're like, we're making the money, but we're not making the profit. We don't have the team and all of that. And they're at a place where they're cash flow positive, they're making profit, they bought their time back, they're leading their team, they can walk away for weeks and weeks, and their teams are running their businesses. Like, these are not, I could tell you, Dr. Beckford is here, I could tell you story after story after story after story. You, my friends that are here, you deserve to have that too. So don't think like my case is like completely different. It's not, okay? The decision you have to make is pretty simple. Just book a call and talk to Makita. The link doesn't show any availability. Jessica, do you want her to email you? You can just put your email there. Yeah. So Jessica will take care of you. She'll take care of you. She's good people. She's on my team. My team rocks. I'm so proud of my team. I love my team. Okay. All right, so yeah, so Dr. Una at entremd.com, okay? And then she would take care of you and give you a custom time and all of that stuff, okay? All right, people, and anybody else, if you had any challenge putting that. So Dr. Arlene says, for me, it's a matter of money. I work 7 days a week, need some guidance, but not able to pay 30K, tapped out, but know that I could do better with a little assistance. So Dr. Arlene, I would say, so first of all, I would say, book, well, more like send an email. But this is the thing, there are multiple payment options and things like that. So just talk to the team and they'll walk you through that. And guys, I want to invite you to see this from a standpoint of possibility, right? Because if nothing changes, Dr. Arlene, and not having financial freedom, like something needs to give, right? Something needs to give. So schedule a call with the team. But I will come with this perspective of possibility. And so one of the most powerful questions we ask in EBS is, for instance, we don't make statements. We ask empowering questions. So you may say, I can't afford it. And the empowering question is, how can I? It is so magical. It is so like, how can I, right? Okay. All right. So Jessica says there are 8 openings tomorrow. If you have trouble with link, please email me. Okay. Okay, great. All right, everyone, I'm going to let you guys go. I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. But these 5 things, again, they're 5 things that will absolutely change your business. Okay. So if you're like, no, Dr. Una, I already have all these systems. I got it. That's good. But if you're like, Dr. Una, I need help with this, and I know this will change everything for me, go book a call, and we would, if it's a great fit, we would love to have you in the EntreMD Business School, the magical place for physician entrepreneurs. Okay. Love you guys. Rooting for you always. Dr. Una, always on your side, always 1,000% committed to your success. So I'll see you guys later.